Okay, got another match with the white pieces, so we go e4. Let's see what the opponent plays. e5, okay. Now I'm gonna develop the knight. I'm gonna develop this knight because I'm also attacking the pawn. Notice that I cannot push the other pawn to the center because he takes. I can take back with the queen, but I don't want to have my queen in the center. Let's just develop another knight. Here I'm not playing any theory yet. I'm just playing normal developing moves. So next move is probably gonna be bishop c4, maybe bishop b5, we'll see, and then castles and so on. Okay, goes g6. Now g6, I mean, I guess he wants to fianchetto his bishop. Just gonna continue with the normal moves, bishop c4, and then castle. Okay, f5. So if I take, he takes with a pawn, and then, I mean, I don't see any reason not to take, because if I do not take, if I let him take, and then I recapture with a knight, he has d5, and it's a fork, so I cannot allow that, so I have to take. Now d5 here, I can just move out of the way. Okay, cannot take. So do I go d3 or d4? Here I cannot just castle, because if I castle, then e4, and where will my knight go? If I go here, I get attacked again, so I don't want to do that. So I guess d3, because d4 he can push, but d3 he can still push, take, and then I cannot take again because of the fork. But I guess I'll move my knight back. So I go d3, if push, I take one time, and then move my knight somewhere, probably to d4. Okay, develops the knight. Now I can just castle. He can play d5 now, but I'm just gonna move the bishop to b5, so I'm fine with that. So let's just castle. Now here I'm not playing in the most optimal way. I'm trying to just play like easy moves, easy developing moves. Yeah, now he has a massive center. I'm thinking bishop b5 or bishop b3, but I like bishop b5 more because it also pins the knight. Maybe I have some ideas of taking on e5 because the knight is pinned. Okay, attacks my knight. This is probably the best move. I guess I have to go knight e2. Now you shouldn't be scared of moving the pieces back, because then my knight can reroute to g3, maybe, I don't know, pressure this pawn or something. So this is not an issue. You don't want to go to a4 here, this just looks awkward. And it also walks into a6 and b5 fork. So that's why knight d2, knight e2. Plays queen d5, okay. If I take, he's gonna probably take back with the pawn, because if queen takes, then I take this one. I guess I'm fine with that. Yeah, let's just take. I guess I can also drop back, wait. If I go to c4, I don't know. What should I do? Take or go back? To a4, going to a4, I don't really think or maybe it does make sense to go to b3. Yeah, let's maybe do that. The problem is maybe e4, take, and then my knight, yeah, but then my knight can go to c4. So that's why I'm gonna play bishop a4, he's gonna go here, and then what? Then if I go here, he has long castles. So he's gonna long castle probably. So I have to do something immediately. And I think that's why I'm gonna go bishop c4, because I want to pose threats immediately. Because if I just move back, he's gonna unpin and then just long castle. And then he has the open file, and also the queen is perfectly placed, because notice that the pawn is then gonna be pinned, so my knight is gonna be hanging. So that's why I'm gonna play bishop c4, or it could also take. No, but bishop c4 I think is reasonable. If I take, he takes with the pawn, and then yeah, I don't really like that. I'm just gonna attack the queen, and then maybe knight g3. If e4, I take, he takes with the pawn, and then I move this knight back to d2. So I'm fine. Okay. Queen d6. I guess I just move my knight to g3, or I can develop this bishop, or I can put my rook on e1. The point is that maybe this pawn is pinned, and then I have some ideas of taking. If e4, then rook e1, e4, takes, I can, let's say, just move my knight because the pawn is pinned. So that's why I like rook e1. Lining up with his king is always a good move. And then I'm gonna develop my bishop. Okay, moves back. This is the moves I like to see. I don't know what the point of that move is, because definitely for him the best thing to do was, let's say, bishop e6 to trade off, and then castle long. Now this move he just goes back and blocks his bishop, so this is definitely a bad move. So we can continue with knight g3, I think, because this now attacks the pawn because the bishop is blocked. And also if he goes e4, so knight g3, e4, take, I can obviously easily take because also my rook opens up. I don't have this take because knight takes, and queen takes. So this is not an option. So I guess let's go knight g3. Okay, goes knight c4, so that was his idea. But now, wait, take, knight takes, okay, so, and then maybe this one, but then check. Okay, it gets complicated. Now, bishop f4, I think, is the move I'm gonna play, because the pawn is pinned. Also, b4, I mean b5 is not a threat. You always have to look out for some pawn moves on the side. So yeah, I think bishop f4 makes sense because the pawn is pinned. And also it's lined up with the queen. If he goes bishop g7, I go queen e2 and add another attacker to the e5 pawn. Okay, goes bishop g7, but now just queen e2. Also taking might not be a bad option, but then maybe knight d7, knight d7, and he can maybe defend. Then f4. I'm not gonna go into too much complications. Just queen e2. So notice that if I take now, take. So I have to add another attacker. The pawn is still pinned, so this is still not a threat. And on the next turn I will take. I guess he has to go back now if he wants to defend, but then that drops the f5 pawn, and it's not a fork really. It is a double attack, but not a fork, because I'm not actually winning a piece, because he can move the queen and defend the bishop. But I think I'm at least winning a pawn here. So this opening was a success for him actually, because wait, where was the g6? Yeah, here I'm definitely worse, because I mean, at least I think so. We're gonna check in the analysis, but he clearly has a big center, so I think I was worse from the opening. So that's why knowing some openings is beneficial. But at this level I don't want to play any theory yet. I just play normal developing moves. Okay, plays b6. Clearly he wants to develop the bishop. But now if I take, knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes, rook takes. So I can take. Now do I take with the knight or the bishop? Probably the knight. Just so let's say he takes and I take. Okay, he did, but let's say if I took with the bishop, he could take once, and then I take back with the knight, and then he doesn't take back, and then he would be the only one with the dark square bishop. I mean, here it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, but still, I want to keep the game as clean as possible, so no imbalances. Okay, here there must be some tactic, because this is aligned, also the bishops. Now the problem is, if I move the knight anywhere, the bishop can be taken. So I guess this one is the only square, but he can just take. So if I go here, he can. This is a discovered attack. I go here, discovered attack on the queen, but he can take the knight. So I don't think moving the knight works. Or I guess it does, because yeah, didn't even see that. Okay, so we definitely have something here because of the check. But now, what is the best move? Can take the bishop first. Can also go here because of the check. And I think that's it, because I win the queen. Do I take the knight? Is that even stronger? I think it is. So if I go here, let's say he can drop back, I guess, and block the check. And then I take, yeah, I think knight takes is definitely the best. So I take the knight, I win a piece, and it's a check. And it's also a attack on the queen. Now notice that if he blocks the check, I can still take with the bishop, because in this case, if I move the knight here, then he has one more defender of this square. But now by taking here, I remove the defender. So this one removes the defender of e5, so he cannot even block, because I just take. Or I guess he can and save his queen, but he's gonna lose at least 2 pieces, if not more. So I take with check, and then Then let's see what he does. So currently I'm controlling these squares. So if he wants to move the king, he has only two options, or he can block. I think he can save the queen by blocking, but then I still take, he takes my knight, and then I take the rook with check. So yeah, I'm gonna get, oh, I didn't even see this move. Yeah, but this obviously doesn't work because I just take the queen. Okay, now my bishop is hanging. If he takes, I take the knight. Okay, he just resigns. Yeah, this is over. It also says mate in 6. Okay, let's do the analysis. So e4, e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6. So the point of this move is I'm attacking the pawn, he defends. I develop the other knight, he goes g6. So he wants to develop his bishop, develop my bishop, because I want to castle, and then he goes f5. I take, because obviously if I castle here, he can take, and then if I take back, he has d5, and this is a fork. So that's why I take. I go d3. So now if he does this, I still cannot take, but I can move my knight away, and I don't see how he defends, because now d5, now I have two defenders, so I can just take. So yeah, this is, wait, let me see the engine after here. Okay, so I was winning still, even though he has a massive center. Okay, just bishop back or bishop b5. Knight takes e4. Okay, this is, yeah, it makes sense because I'm opening some queen check. I mean, I guess this knight defense, but yeah, this is this is the computer. So in the game I go back, and then he goes queen d5. Now I was contemplating about bishop a4, but bishop a4, he can unpin his knight, and then let's say I don't know, I go here, he can just long castle, and then he's gonna place his rook on g8, lining up with my king, and I didn't want to do that. So that's why I was looking at more direct moves, so either taking, if he takes with the queen, I obviously take, so he would take with the pawn. But still, I mean, I guess this one is also fine, but I decided on bishop c4, attacking the queen, so there is an immediate threat, so he has to do something. And then I go rook e1. Now here he should probably still go, let me see, yeah, bishop d7 or bishop e7. This one is weird. Bishop d7 or even probably this one. Yeah, it's also fine. I mean, not fine, I'm winning clearly. The engine says I'm winning, but that's if I find the top moves. So yeah, one of the top moves for him is to develop the bishop and then go long castle probably. So that's what he should have done, but he went back, which is a terrible move, because he blocks his bishop and he moves his knight back, and now this move comes with tempo, so I am attacking the pawn, because in this case, if I went knight g3, this pawn is not even attacked. So he goes back, goes forward, so he reroutes his knight, but rerouting works if you have developed all of your pieces. It makes sense when you're fully developed, but at the start of the game, this is not great. And then I find this nice move, bishop f4. The point is that I cannot take, so take, cannot take, so I have to add another attacker. And I cannot do that. I mean, I guess I can go queen e2, but then bishop here defends, so that's why I start with bishop f4, and also notice that now he cannot push because I take the queen. So this is a nice move, and obviously he cannot take because it's pinned. He goes bishop g7, defending. I add another attacker, and then he goes b6, which is a weird move. He should have probably castled, or I guess he cannot even castle. I didn't even see that. Yeah, so that's why. Maybe bishop e6. Let's see, the computer still wants bishop d7 and probably long castle, yeah. So he cannot even castle here because my bishop, because you cannot castle through check. So his king would be here if he castled, so it would be a check. And even if my bishop was, let's say, controlling this square, he still wouldn't be able to castle because his king would have to go through check when castling. So this is not a legal move. So he goes b6, and then I take, and then he goes bishop a6. I guess he wanted me to trade off my bishop, so then he could castle because my bishop would no longer be controlling g8. Now let's see the best move. Queen h5. Okay, but knight takes c6 is also there. Yeah, I was talking about this move as well, but here he can block. I take with the knight, but then he can, I guess he can save his queen. Knight takes, yeah, and then he just moves away. So he can save his queen. This one, I guess it's even better. I don't know why. Some checkmating, maybe potential, I don't know. But knight takes, as you can see, they are equal basically. Knight takes. So the point is, it's a check, and I remove the defender of e5. So if he blocks now, I can just take again. And now his queen is attacked and his rook is attacked. Let's say he takes, I go check, and he has to move away, and then I get in, and it's just game over. Actually, I don't know, maybe this, no, this one he takes. I guess check, I don't know. Just some checkmate probably. Yeah, and he goes back to block the check, but this obviously drops the queen. And now let's say he would, I don't know, I guess if he takes, I just take and get in. So probably the best thing for him was to take, maybe also defending at the same time. But here I would take the bishop, remove the guard. Let's say he takes and I still get in. Check, and probably some checkmate, I don't know. Maybe even knight takes. This would be mate. I don't see how he can stop it. So let's say this is mate. So yeah, he was completely lost. Yeah, let's go back to the opening. So just normal development, as you can see, still he's 800 at this level. Still, just by doing normal developing moves, you can win a game. But you have to be aware of tactics. Let's say this move is a nice find. If you find moves like this, you're gonna crush your opponents. And also notice that he didn't develop. If you develop and somehow manage to open up the center, you're just gonna win games. So that's how you win at this level. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.